Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of tweaks and changes in products and techniques that I do to take myself from the warmer, hotter months into the cooler seasons. I've mentioned before that your girl is a real world oily skin diva, like I am really oily, but I have noticed that as I age or as I get a little bit more mature, I do see a little bit more dehydration, a little bit more dryness in the cooler months. My skin feels a little bit tighter, feels like it needs just a little bit more. So I like to switch up just a couple things in the skincare and the makeup routine just to keep it looking its best. So definitely comment down below if you feel the need to change anything up and what you change up to kind of take yourself from those warmer months to the colder season. So let's jump in. The next product I like to switch up is my sunscreen. Now you guys may or may not know, I add my sunscreen in my primer step. I've really been enjoying SUPERGOOP primers. I think they do a fantastic job of priming the skin, smoothing the skin, keeping the oil at bay, and they give me a nice high range of broad spectrum SPF, so I love their products. In the summertime, I'm more of a smooth and poreless matte screen girl. This one has a little bit of a tint to it, but it again smooths out the skin, smooths out the pores, and does a great job of controlling the oil. But when it comes to the cooler months, I try to ease up a little bit on all the mattification that I'm doing to the skin, and so I like to actually use the Unseen Sunscreen from SUPERGOOP. I would hold mine up, but mine is busted and crusted. I'm not even gonna do that to myself, so I'm gonna put a picture up so you guys can see what it is. But this one again is still a primer. It still smooths out the pores. This one has more of a silicone feel to it, but it still smooths out the skin, smooths out the pores, and it still provides me with that broad spectrum SPF 40. So I just like to switch it up, something a little bit lighter, something not quite as mattifying, but I still stick with my SUPERGOOP because I love, love, love these products. When you're trying to find a sunscreen that multitask, that's easy to put in your routine without slowing you down. Love SUPERGOOP primers. The next thing I like to change up is my foundation. Now, I do have a full review of this product here on my channel, so I will not talk about it too long. I will just for you guys, but the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear, this right here is one of my favorite cooler months foundation. This foundation does a beautiful job of coverage, of wear, of oil control, but it's so light, it's so airy, it just blends into the skin. This, again, I'm sorry, I have a full review on it, so I'm just gonna stop talking about it, but this right here, favorite wintertime foundation. Now this color right here, the 505 Toffee, is a bit neutral for me. I need something with a little bit more of a warmer undertone, and I'm almost out of this, so when I replenish this, I will definitely try to find a warmer shade. But the foundation formula itself, I think, is amazing for oily skin divas, especially in the colder months. Now the next product I like to change up, it's kind of iffy because y'all know I love blush, and to be fair, some days I feel like switching up my blush to match my eyeshadow, and then other days I wear the exact same blush all day, every day. So I hesitate to say this part of it, but I will say I do find myself reaching for berrier tones in the cooler months versus the orange and the mauves that I like in the summertime. So this right here, this Steve Laurant blush, I believe I got this in like a Ipsy bag or something. It's in the color I'm blushing. It does have a little bit of sheen, and I have mentioned before, I am not a shimmery blush type girl. I like a flat matte type of blush because I have texture on the skin, and because my skin's oily. By the end of the day, I already have natural shine coming through, so I don't tend to like it in my blush. But in the winter time, and I think it's because this has a sheen, not so much a shimmer, but in the winter time, this blush right here is beautiful. I cannot stop using it. It's just, I love the tone, I love the deepness of it, I love the berryness of it, and that sheen along with, you know, needing a healthy glow to the skin, it just works out beautifully. I just love a good berry tone all the time, really, but I do notice that in the cooler months, I really reach for that deeper berry tone more so than any time else. Also talk about the setting powder that I use in the cooler months. You guys know I've mentioned I love the Urban Decay All Nighter. I think that is a beautiful setting powder, period, but especially for an oily skin diva in the summertime. It just does a great job of setting everything in place, controlling the oil, and it really is waterproof. But as I mentioned earlier, I try to back off a little bit on the whole mattification process when it comes to the cooler months and my skin, just because I can see that it doesn't take as much to get me looking real powdery and look real crepey. So I kind of back off on all the mattifying products, and I always reach for this Omolewa HD finishing powder in the cooler months. This powder is so smooth. It's smooth, it's soft, it's finely milled, it blends into the skin beautifully, and honestly, for some reason, I can't explain it, I feel like it feels like it's hydrating the skin when it goes on as well. Beautiful powder. If you want to see that in action, definitely check out my last video where I'm actually doing a get ready with me. That's the powder that I use in that video, so you can check that out to see what it looks like on the skin and how it kind of blends everything together. But I love this powder in the cooler months. It just does a beautiful job of just kind of setting everything in place, but it doesn't make me feel dry. It does a great job of making me feel nice and smooth and hydrated. So, and the last product I want to talk about is the finishing powder. I mentioned it several videos back. I cannot remember which one it is. If I do, I will link it for you guys. But I mentioned steps that might seem a little extra, might seem a little bougie, but seem to really change the game for the way my makeup looks, in using a finishing powder, not a setting powder. Using a finishing powder has really changed the game for me. And I like a finishing powder that adds a little bit of glow to the skin, and it really just kind of, the whole point to me of a finishing powder is to really smooth and blend everything together, so I don't have blush, bronzer, you know, everything looks nice and blended. But I also like a finishing powder that's going to give me a nice glow to the skin. I don't highlight, again, because I have texture on the skin and I have oily skin, so by the end of the day my natural glow is coming out. But I do like a little bit of a glow. I like an all over mature, sophisticated glow, and I feel like a good finishing powder will do this for you. So I really do like the Hourglass Ambient Lighting. I like it because it's sheer and it does give a beautiful glow. But I will say the powder I go to in the wintertime is the LORAC POREfection Baked Perfecting Powder. Now, this was the first finishing powder I ever used that made me fall in love with the finishing powder step, period. It's like, this powder, let me show y'all, like, I'm serious. Y'all see this? Like, I'm serious about how much I love this. You see what I'm saying? This powder does a beautiful job of blending everything together without disturbing anything. It's not patchy, it doesn't cling to anything, it just sweeps across the skin so beautifully. And yet this one is not as sheer as the Hourglass, so this one does give my skin a little bit of color, which I don't mind in the winter time. I think sometimes if I use it in the summer, it's just a little bit too deep, but I love to use this in the winter time, especially with this foundation right here, because remember I mentioned it's a bit too neutral. This powder does a great job of bringing that warmth back to the skin and kind of balancing everything out. But I just love how it blurs everything together, blends everything so smoothly, but yet it leaves the prettiest sheen and glow on my skin. You can't really pinpoint it. You can't really tell, you know, where the glow's coming from. This powder does it beautifully. So these are just a few of the things that I like to change up in my routine, you know, and of course if I get a new product or something like that, that also changes things up. But these are kind of like the staple OG products, you know, like you guys know I'm a simple girl. I kind of do the same thing all the time, and these are the products that I reach for all the time to kind of get my skin looking its best as we come from those warmer months into the colder months. So I hope this information helps someone else out there. If it did, please give this video a thumbs up, and while you're here on my channel, take a look around, see what else your girl has to offer, and if you're liking what you see, hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.